It was supposed to be the happiest day of Tamar's life. Balloons, confetti, family and friends gathered to celebrate new beginnings. But in an instant, joy turned into chaos. Just as the reveal reached its peak, the last person anyone expected stormed in Yandy, and what she brought with her wasn't love, wasn't support, it was drama that threatened to destroy everything. The sun was shining, the guests were smiling, and the atmosphere was pure celebration. Tamar was glowing, surrounded by friends, family, and fans who had been following her journey closely. Balloons floated in pastel colors. A giant cake sat at the center of the room, and the suspense was building. Everyone was waiting for that single, life-changing moment, the reveal of whether Tamar's newest addition would be a boy or a girl. Everything was picture perfect. The cameras rolled, social media notifications buzzed, and Tamar's excitement was contagious. Friends gathered around, phones out, ready to capture every second. But little did anyone know, this joyous event was about to spiral into chaos as the moment of truth approached. Tamar took a deep breath, her hand trembling slightly as she prepared to pull the pin on the confetti cannon. Everyone leaned in, the anticipation palpable. Balloons swirled in the background, and the cake glistened in the sunlight. Then suddenly the crowd's collective gasps were interrupted not by the color of the confetti, but by a shocking intrusion. Yandi, why she wasn't invited. No one expected her. Yet there she was, striding into the event with confidence, her presence instantly shifting the room's energy. Whispers erupted. Phones were lifted in disbelief. Everyone turned, unsure if what they were seeing was real. "Mendices told me what's going on," Yandi said, her voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "And I had to see it for myself." Tamar froze, her eyes widening. Shock turned to confusion, then to disbelief. Yandi had never been close to Tamar, so why was she here? And why now? The guests exchanged glances. Some whispered apologies to Tamar. Others tried to subtly guide Yandi out, but she wasn't moving. She was in her element. And her timing was impeccable in the most chaotic way possible. Before anyone could process her arrival, Yandi walked straight up to the center of the party. Cameras were rolling, phones were snapping, and the tension was building faster than the confetti cannon could explode. Tamar, now flustered, tried to regain control. "Yandi, what are you doing here?" she asked, her voice polite but icy. Yandi didn't back down. Instead, she smiled a smile that carried both mischief and authority. "I just thought I'd see the celebration and make sure everything is done right," she said, her tone dripping with sarcasm. The room grew quiet, the festive energy replaced by tension. Guests shuffled uncomfortably, unsure how to react. Some tried to laugh it off, but the atmosphere had shifted. It wasn't a gender reveal anymore. It was a showdown. Tamar took a deep breath and tried to redirect the focus. "Okay, everyone, let's keep this about the baby. Please, can we just do this?" But Yandi wasn't done. She stepped closer, her eyes locking onto Tamar's. "You know, it's funny. Everyone's so excited about this reveal, but no one's talking about the drama waiting in the background." Gasps echoed through the room. Tamar's closest friends frowned, sensing the tension rising like smoke before a fire. What drama was Yandi referring to? No one had a clue, but everyone was suddenly on edge. Then it happened. The confetti cannon exploded prematurely. Blue and pink confetti rained down, covering the guests, the cake, and even Yandi herself. The room was a whirlwind of color and chaos. Cameras caught every moment. Phones captured every reaction. The celebration had officially become a spectacle. Tamar stood frozen, confetti in her hair, her heart racing. "Yandi, this isn't the time," she shouted, but her voice barely rose above the commotion. Yandi laughed, a sound that sent shivers through the room. "Oh, I think this is the perfect time," she said. "After all, what's a gender reveal without a little chaos?" Some guests nervously tried to intervene, guiding Yandi toward the exit. But she sidestepped them with ease, making sure every camera caught her face, every witness remembered her presence. She had taken control of the moment, and no one was stopping her. As the chaos settled, Tamar tried to refocus. "Okay, everyone, let's figure this out," she said, trying to reclaim the celebration. But the confetti had barely settled, and the mood had shifted from excitement to tension. Yandy, standing tall amid the pastel carnage, had all eyes on her. She wasn't just a guest, she was the storm in the middle of the celebration. Every step she took, every word she spoke, carried weight. And the whispers began. Who invited her? Why is she here? Is this about Mendices again? The rumors and speculation only fueled the chaos. Tamar's friends tried to mediate, but Yandi was relentless. She seemed to feed off the tension, turning the celebration into a battleground of emotions. And then the shocking revelation dropped. Yandi hinted at secrets nobody expected to hear. Secrets that could shake Tamar's world and everyone at the event. "You think everything here is perfect," Yandi said, her eyes scanning the room. "But perfection is a lie. You never know what's really happening behind closed doors." The room fell silent. Tamar's excitement had been replaced with anxiety. Guests whispered nervously, wondering what she meant. And just like that, the joyous gender reveal had transformed into a tense battlefield of accusations, suspicion, and drama. The cameras didn't stop rolling. Social media notifications exploded. The video clips were already trending within minutes. Fans were dissecting every look, every word, every gesture. The chaos was no longer contained to the event. Tit was now online for the world to witness. Tamar, still trying to salvage the moment, attempted to redirect the focus back to the baby. Let's just celebrate the baby, okay? That's what this day is about," she said, her voice trembling but determined. But Yandi wasn't done. She had made her statement, and the room knew it. The tension was thick, the air electric with anticipation. Nobody knew what would happen next. Would the celebration continue? Or had the reveal become the backdrop for a confrontation that would leave everyone talking for weeks? As the day went on, the event's chaos became the story. Friends whispered. Family members exchanged worried glances. Tamar realized something unsettling. The drama wasn't over. Yandy had arrived uninvited, taken center stage, and changed the narrative completely. The gender reveal was supposed to be a moment of joy, but now it was a memory tainted by tension, rumors, and unexpected confrontation. And as the confetti slowly settled on the floor, one truth was clear. This event would be remembered not for the baby's gender, but for the moment Yandi crashed the celebration and turned happiness into chaos. The confetti had barely settled, but the atmosphere was already charged. Guests whispered nervously, their phones out, capturing every angle of the chaos. What was supposed to be a joyous gender reveal had transformed into a spectacle, and everyone felt it. Tamar tried to regain control, but Yandi's presence had shifted the balance. She wasn't just a guest, she was a force, and she had everyone's attention. "Can we just take a breath?" Tamar said, her voice trembling but trying to sound authoritative. "This day is about the baby. Let's keep it about the baby." Yandi smirked, crossing her arms. "Oh, Tamar, we are keeping it about the baby. But let's be honest, you're not the only one with a story to tell here." Murmurs spread through the room. Guests exchanged glances. Some were confused, some intrigued, and some visibly anxious. It was clear that Yandi's words weren't just meant to stir drama, they were loaded with insinuation. As the party continued, whispers turned into side conversations and social media notifications exploded. Clips of Yandi's entrance, her words, and the confetti chaos were already trending online. Fans were dissecting every detail. Why did Yandi crash the reveal? Is there some history we don't know about? Tamar looked shook. What's going on? Meanwhile, Yandi was working the room. She mingled with guests, subtly planting seeds of doubt and curiosity. She didn't have to raise her voice, her aura, her timing. And her calculated glances did the work for her. One guest whispered nervously to Tamar's sister, "I think she's here to expose something. Maybe about Tamar. Maybe about the family. I don't know, but it feels like a storm about to hit." Tamar's anxiety grew. She tried to maintain a celebratory front, but every time she turned, Yandi was there, smiling, making small talk, dropping subtle hints that kept the tension high. It was impossible to ignore the cake-cutting approached, but even that ritual couldn't go smoothly. Just as Tamar raised the knife, Yandi stepped forward again, commenting loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Careful, Tamar. Let's make sure everyone knows the real story before you celebrate. Wouldn't want anyone to get the wrong impression about who really holds it down behind the scenes." The room froze. Guests looked at each other, unsure whether to laugh nervously, side with Tamar, or fear what Yandi might reveal. Cameras captured every moment, ready to upload and amplify the chaos in real time. Tamar's closest friends tried to intervene. "Yandy, maybe this isn't the right time, can we talk later?" But Yandi wasn't backing down. "Oh no, this is the perfect time. Everyone's here, everyone's watching, and everyone deserves to know the truth." The tension escalated when someone in the room whispered that Yandi had inside knowledge secrets that could embarrass Tamar or reveal hidden conflicts. Suddenly, the celebration was no longer about pink or blue confetti. It was about confrontation, reputation, and control. Tamar tried to redirect attention once more. "Can we just please focus on the baby? This day is about love, family, and new beginnings." Yandi shook her head. "Love, family? You mean appearances?" "The truth doesn't care about appearances, Tamar, and maybe today. People need to see reality." The guests shifted uncomfortably, realizing this was more than an unexpected interruption. This was a power move. Yandi had turned herself into the center of attention, and everyone else was reacting to her energy rather than the gender reveal. Meanwhile, online social media blew up. Hashtags like #TAMAR gender reveal, #YandyY crashes, and #drama unfolds were trending within minutes. Fans were taking sides. Some defended Tamar, others praised Yandi for her boldness. And conspiracy theories started to surface. The event was no longer private. It was a live spectacle broadcast to the world. In the midst of all this, Tamar's emotions shifted. Shock gave way to frustration. Frustration gave way to anger. The woman who had planned this party meticulously, who had dreamt of a joyful day to celebrate life, now found herself in the middle of a media circus. "Yandi, enough." Tamar finally shouted, her voice cracking but firm. "You came here uninvited, caused chaos, and now you're threatening to ruin a day that's supposed to be about our baby. This isn't about you." Yandi didn't flinch. Instead, she leaned closer, her gaze sharp and unyielding. "Oh, Tamar, it's never about me. But people deserve the truth, whether you like it or not. And sometimes, the truth has to interrupt a celebration to be heard." The confrontation escalated, and some guests quietly began leaving, uncomfortable with the intensity. Others stayed, sensing that this was history in the making, a celebrity drama unfolding live, with real emotions, real tension, and real consequences. At one point, Yandi hinted at secrets that even Tamar hadn't expected to surface. "People think they know you," Yandi said, her voice calm but piercing. "But there's more behind the scenes than anyone realizes. And today's the day some of it comes to light." The room erupted into whispers. Some guests tried to console Tamar. Others attempted to question Yandi, but she remained in control, the eye of the storm, commanding attention and dictating the narrative. And just as it seemed the situation couldn't get any more chaotic, the confetti that had initially been thrown into the air became a symbol of the mess the day had turned into. Balloons popped, decorations shifted, and even the cake toppled slightly. A visual metaphor for the unraveling celebration. Cameras captured every second, ready to broadcast this catastrophe worldwide. For Tamar, the emotional weight was crushing. She had wanted a perfect day to celebrate life, love, and family, but instead, she was navigating accusations, insinuations, and a high-profile confrontation she never asked for. As part 2 comes to a close, it's clear that the chaos is far from over. Yandy's intrusion has set the stage for a dramatic fallout that will ripple through the family, the guest list, and the world of social media. The gender reveal is no longer just a celebration, it's the epicenter of tension, secrets, and the kind of drama that fans live for. The question now looms: how far will Yandi push the chaos? And can Tamar reclaim the celebration before it spirals completely out of control? The gender reveal had turned into a full-blown spectacle, and the tension in the room was palpable. Confetti still clung to the guests' clothes. The cake had been slightly toppled, and whispers ran rampant. But nothing compared to the storm brewing between Tamar and Yandi. What had started as a joyful celebration had now morphed into a battlefield, and the world was watching. Yandi, standing in the center of the room, was a hurricane. Calm, calculated, and fearless. She held everyone's attention. Tamar, on the other hand, was a mix of frustration, disbelief, and heartbreak. Her dream of a perfect reveal had been hijacked, and every effort to regain control seemed futile. "You've gone too far this time, Yandi," Tamar shouted, her voice trembling but filled with authority. "This day was never about you. It was about celebrating life, our family, and our baby. You came here uninvited and ruined everything." Yandi's smile didn't falter. "Ruin everything?" she replied, her voice low but cutting. "Tamar, I didn't come to ruin anything. I came to make sure the truth was heard. People think everything in this world is perfect. They think everyone smiles for the camera, but today they see reality. And reality is messy." Guests shifted uncomfortably. Some nodded subtly, secretly agreeing with Yandi, while others glared at her, seeing her as an intruder who had taken over what should have been a sacred celebration. The tension reached a boiling point when Yandi, in front of everyone, hinted at a secret that hit closer to home than anyone anticipated. "You all think this is about gender," she said, voice rising slightly. "But it's about trust. About decisions made behind the scenes. About choices some of us didn't make together, and yet everyone pretends it's perfect." Gasps filled the room. Cameras captured every expression, every whispered reaction. Tamar's face went pale, a mix of shock and anger crossing her features. She had no idea Yandi would escalate this further, and the room could feel the impending clash before anyone could react. Yandi stepped closer, addressing not just Tamar but the entire gathering. "This celebration is a reminder," she continued, "that life isn't just pink or blue confetti. Life is complicated. Life is messy. And sometimes the people you trust the most are the ones who make you question everything." The murmurs escalated into outright chatter. Guests whispered about what she might know, how it could affect Tamar, and whether there were deeper family secrets at play. Social media was already on fire. Clips of Yandy's statements had gone viral, trending within minutes. Fans debated, analyzed, and speculated, turning the event into a global headline overnight. Tamar's closest friends tried to intervene, surrounding her, trying to restore calm. "Tamar, maybe we can talk to her privately," one whispered. One whispered. But Yandi had mastered control of the narrative. "No private talks," she said firmly, her eyes locking onto Tamar's. "People deserve to see this, to hear this, to understand that life isn't always what it seems." The emotional weight in the room was suffocating. Tamar's hands trembled as she clutched the cake knife, her knuckles white. Guests exchanged nervous glances, unsure whether to leave or stay and witness history in the making. The atmosphere was electric, and every eye was glued to the drama unfolding in real time. Then, the moment came, the final showdown. Tamar, trying to regain control, stepped forward, her voice shaking but determined. "Yandi, this isn't the way to handle things. Whatever you think you're exposing, it doesn't belong here. This is a celebration, not a courtroom." Yandi, unfazed, raised her hand and smiled slyly. "Sometimes, Tamar, a courtroom isn't enough. Sometimes the world needs to see the truth as it happens, not behind closed doors. And today is that day." The room erupted. Guests whispered, some leaving quietly, some recording every second. The confetti, still stuck to clothes and hair, seemed to symbolize the chaos that had taken over what was meant to be a joyful occasion. Cameras captured every expression, ready to immortalize the conflict for social media and news outlets alike. In the midst of this, a shocking revelation slipped from Yandy's lips, something that stunned even Tamar's closest allies. "And for those wondering why I'm here," Yandi said, her voice low but audible, "let's just say that not all truths are easy to face. But some of us can't sit by and watch lies be celebrated." Tamar froze. The guests leaned in, anticipation at its peak. Questions filled the air. What lies? Whose secrets? The tension was unbearable, the stakes higher than ever. The climax reached its peak when Tamar, tears streaming down her face, finally confronted Yandi directly. "If you have something to say, say it. But don't come into my celebration to destroy it." Yandi stepped closer, her presence dominating the room. "Tamar, this isn't destruction. This is reality. You can try to hide behind balloons, confetti, and cake, but reality has a way of showing up. And today, it did." For a tense moment, the room was silent. Everyone waited, holding their breath, anticipating a resolution or a total meltdown. The cameras kept rolling, the social media notifications never stopped buzzing. And the event that was meant to be a celebration had transformed into one of the most talked about moments of the year. And then, just as quickly as it escalated, the energy shifted. Guests began to slowly step back, some whispering apologies, some exchanging knowing glances. Tamar, wiping her tears, took a deep breath. "Fine, we'll deal with this later. Today is still about the baby," she said, her voice cracking but carrying a note of determination. Yandi, seeing the moment slip from her grasp, smiled one last time. "Remember, Tamar, chaos has a way of revealing truths that celebration can't. Enjoy the day, because the world is watching." With that, she walked out, leaving the room in stunned silence. Confetti still floated in the air. The cake was slightly crooked, and the energy had shifted permanently. What was meant to be joy had become drama, spectacle, and viral content. As the final guests left, whispers lingered. Social media exploded with clips of Yandi's entrance, her confrontations, and her cryptic statements. Fans debated endlessly. Who was right? Who was wrong? And what secrets had really been exposed? For Tamar, the day would forever be remembered not for the gender of her baby, but for the chaos that Yandi brought into her life. The celebration had been hijacked, the joy interrupted, and the world now had a front row seat to the drama. And as the event came to a close, one thing was certain: the fallout from this chaotic reveal would continue to ripple far beyond the party. Lives had been shifted, reputations questioned, and the simple act of celebrating a new life had become a storm that no one could forget. The gender reveal might have had a color pink or blue, but that day itself would forever be marked by a new shade. Chaos. The chaos didn't end with the confetti. Yandi crashed the party. Secrets were hinted, and the world watched in shock. What do you think really happened? Was Yandi justified, or did she take it too far? Comment below, hit that like button, and make sure to subscribe with the bell on, because the drama isn't over, and you won't want to miss what happens next.